Good evening, guys. I hope everybody's had a fantastic Thursday. I know the weather's not been too great. Well, that being perception, isn't it, really? It's been a bit grey where I am today, but the weather's never really been detrimental to how my day's gone or how it's not affected my mood. But I know that the weather sometimes affects people's moods, but yeah. Not here today. Episode 3 of Brad Skelly, Body, Mind and Soul. This episode's going to be surrounding meditation. Very, very, very important topic to me. Something that's extremely close to my heart. Something that's basically saved me throughout the darkest periods of my life. Meditation has been my knight in shining armor, has been my guardian angel to help me through. Now, what I'm going to cover is, first of all, quickly, how I got into meditation, how it presented itself to me, how I feel meditation has benefited me, or how meditation makes me feel, let's say, moving forward throughout the tests and the challenges that get thrown, and how I believe that meditation would positively benefit the collective as a whole. So just quickly, like I mentioned in my previous video, I'm going to give you a little recap of how meditation presented itself to me. Being a young lad in a small town, now I can understand that maybe the catchment areas not as profound in this sort of area as what ours was. Like a city to a small town might be different throughout the judgment and the hierarchy scheme. But for me, a young lad, tall, slim lad in a small town, school can be brutal as it is. My school journey was never bad at all, but, a lot of name calling and things like that was thrown around and came my way throughout my journey. And so with being a tall, slim lad, like I mentioned, my key focus and my key goal in life back then was to get massive, put on a load of size physically, put on a load of weight, because that I would believe that within putting on that weight, I would then get respected. As the journey followed on, I believe, as soon as I bump into people and they go, "Wow, you put on some size, Brad. You're looking absolutely massive now." That was then confirmation that they then respected me. Now I look back, how I don't want to say uneducated, but how inexperienced my mentality was back then, but that was needed to happen. So anyway, 17 years old, jumped straight on the steroids, you name it, Dianabol, Anadrol, testosterone, Trenbolone, anything, you name it. I was doing cycles and cycles and cycles. I started on the oral tablets, started taking them, and started to see a little bit of a gain, a little bit of weight was getting put on. I was training every day and started to get a little bit of attention coming my way. But at this point, I was still going through puberty, so my hormones were just flying all over the shop. Now, like I say, as that carried on throughout the months, throughout the years, that really, really changed. It altered my state of perception as well. I was drifting further and further away from the true Brad Skelly, and turning into somebody else, turning into a dark, temperamental energy that was not me. It couldn't have been any further away from who I am at all. But anyway, my ego was getting filled, my ego was growing, my ego was getting filled, and the more attention I was getting from people, the more it sort of fed the drive. Health was never a concern to me. As long as I was getting big, that's all that mattered. And like I say, what a way to think for a 17-year-old lad in a small town, that health don't matter about the long term. People that were further on in their journey and wiser were coming to me and saying, "Brad, you think about the long game, think wise here." But I needed to learn that. I needed to shunt them off. I needed to disregard people's advice and say, no, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm doing. This is best for me to go through what I went through. So anyway, as the years went on, I was obviously damaging my body more and more. And I was at a point where I was so consumed with external gratification that that overrode anything. That overrode any self-love and any internal feelings at all. Just external gratification. What everyone else thought, that was the main concern. So anyway, it got to a point where I was about 4 years on taking the substances, and a lot of physical sensations started to happen within my body. So like I mentioned before, it started with the tight chest. I was like, I can't take a deep breath. I can't take my lungs can't, I can't inhale the full capacity of my lungs. But then these would come in cycles, which then would go to my heart. And then my heart would be tight, and it would be like, every time I breathe in, I get a sharp shooting pain in the left side of my heart, and then it will come down my left side of my arm, and I'll be like, my main artery's in the left side of my body, I'm dying. Which would then go to pulsations in my head, thickness, headaches, fatigue, pins and needles in my hands, pins and needles in my legs, feeling like my body's changing, and physically and as well as mentally, this was exhausting me. However, the external gratification overrode, so I continued to take substances. Now, I didn't believe this was an addiction. I was like, I could just come off this easy. It's not a problem. I just don't want to. Now, how ironic does that sound, that you know that you could come off something and you know that something's not good for you moving forward. However, you don't want that. So the chat I would have with myself was, okay, so you don't want to feel good moving forward? And then my stubbornness would come in and my ego would come in and go, no, as long as I'm big. So I was always in an internal battle there. So anyway, got to the point where another 2 years on, these physical symptoms and sensations were becoming too much to handle. I would be going for ECGs. I would be going for MRI scans on my spine and my brain. I would be going for X-rays on my chest. I would go for continuous blood tests, and this became a cycle, continuous cycle. And with being thrown this was a test that I was thrown from the universe. Didn't get it then, but I get it now. This was a test that I was thrown from the universe, and I needed to go through that. I needed to put my body through that, and I needed to learn. And because if I didn't learn, I wouldn't have grown. And at some point I would have been thrown another test anyway to grow, because that's the way it works. We get thrown these tests and challenges. So got to a point where I was literally, I was in a position of like, these sensations were just killing me off. And there was nothing that I could do to get rid or to disregard these. In the beginning, like I mentioned in the previous video, I believe the body whispers. It will whisper to you your fatigue until it screams its illness, or it screams its disease. So I was in a position where in the beginning, these symptoms that were coming around, I could disregard them, and I could mask them, and I could distract myself with something else that would take me away from the source of the problem. But the more powerful and the more profound that they become, as time went on, they was very, very hard to disregard, and they was very, very hard to. I was struggling to distract myself from them. So they was affecting my day-to-day life, hence continuously going to the doctors, continuously getting tests. And I was raving a lot at this point. So I was really into my house and my techno music. So I was going away, whether that be Ibiza, whether that be Sonar in Barcelona, whether that be Sonos in Croatia, whatever that may be, all the UK festivals, I was hitting all them all the time. And that obviously, I say obviously, not necessarily the case for everybody, but for me, that consisted in a lot of narcotics taken as well. So as well as I was pumping myself with these steroids, I was taking a lot of narcotics. The mix of these two was absolutely poison. And like I said, I was quickly getting to a point of, this is, I can't move with this, and some people probably can. At that time, but that is another temporary fix. It's never a permanent solution. So got to the point where I went away with some friends on holiday, and was obviously partying, was in the middle of the rave, and I got to the point where I was having a lot of physical sensations within the middle of the rave, and I was like, I can't breathe, and I felt like I had pins and needles coming all down my forearms and my shoulders, and I started to shiver, and I was like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here now. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And I was becoming exhausted, absolutely exhausted. You know, it got to the point where I didn't want to be here on this physical journey anymore. Very much felt like I wanted to leave. I wasn't happy being here anymore. Just being alive on the physical plane was exhausting for my soul. Exhausting for my soul. So went back, was going to do something silly. One of my friends came back and sort of helped me within the situation. And I broke down crying. I was in hysterics, and I was just in a position of, you know, I just can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Funny, you know, the irony of it as throughout time, the simple ingredient that my wise ones were saying to me would have been, well, if you know, take this poison out your body and you take this poison out your body, things will be a lot different. You know, your mindset will be a lot clearer. And didn't want to know, did I? But at this point, this was the breaking point where I was finally listening, and the universe had tested me. The universe had thrown me to the ground, to my deepest, darkest pit. And it had said, okay, right, here's your test. You've been thrown down there. You need to grow. You need to learn, because you're never moving forward at this point. So, yeah, got to the point where I got home, and the irony that when I got home, I got a message from a friend, a very, very good friend that I'd known from my school years, hadn't spoken to since my school years either. And they popped up on Instagram, and they was like, hey man, I hope all is well. I've started a lot of breath work and meditating. I didn't know if this is something that you would be interested in or into. And my ego kicked off straight away. My chimp was flying, and he was like, as if you're going to sit there with your legs crossed, breathing, like, do you think you're some kind of monk or something? Right? That was what my ego said. If I could look at Brad Skelly now, if I was Brad Skelly back then looking at Brad Skelly now, he'd be like, no way is happening. But the universe orchestrates these things, doesn't it? So anyway, my ego, I said to him, mate, you're never getting me meditating. What, do you think I'm going to be sat there cross legs and just trying to banter about it? And his response was, what other option do you have? Now, he didn't know the situation I was in. He didn't know what I was going through. We hadn't actually spoken for a number of years. So this was completely coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidences. I believe everything's happening the way it should be. So it was either one of them or just a simultaneous coincidence all happening. So, but anyway, that really hit a nerve when he said, what other choice have you got? And it kicked me back. And my internal anatomy was just sort of sat there contemplating everything, every decision I'd made, going, there's a shift here. You know, the old you, or the habits that you're undergoing that served you, the old you, don't serve the new you. You're stepping out of an old skin now and stepping into a new skin. So I thought, yeah, you know, why not? Let's give it a go. And he said, cool, meet me down at the beach in the morning. We'll get a sunrise meditation. Now, that was another thing that I was really, really bad at, was waking up in the morning. So early mornings didn't resonate with me, and I'll go into that in another video. But yeah, early mornings weren't a thing. So I got up, went down to the beach, and he said, okay, we're going to start with the breath work. So sat there with my legs crossed, and I felt daft. I felt silly. I was like, this is not me. This is not what I do, and all this, that, and the other. However, I thought, the way that I'm feeling recently, I can't go on feeling like that. So if this is going to help, by all means. So sat there, legs crossed, top of my palms on the top of my thighs. And he said, take a big, deep inhale in to the top of your lungs. And exhale. And he said, let's do this 3 times round. So as I did the first one, semi stepped into relaxation state, and for that split second, stopped thinking about any physical sensations that was happening. Second breath in, and exhale, then fell deeper into my trance. And the third inhale and exhale time round, I'd fallen into a deep state of relaxation and did not think about any physical sensation that was happening, and could not even feel any physical sensation that was happening. And it was like I was brand new and normal. Now, the meditation process that we took was a 10-minute meditation. And what he explained to me was the main part, or the most important part about the meditation, is to never break the rhythm. And whenever your attention, because the ego will try and drift you away and be like, I'm fed up with this, I can't concentrate. You know, people character assassinate themselves, and they identify themselves as somebody that is something. So they'll go, I can't do it because my concentration span isn't a large concentration span, or I'm an irritable person, or I just haven't got the patience. Like, them people are identifying themselves as a thing. When that's not the case. You know, we're multidimensional beings that can do anything that we please. So I was willing to open my perception up to just focus and lock in. Now, I got 4 minutes in and I was just locked into such an emotional state where every breath in was pushing up some darkness within me, and every breath out was pushing it out. Now, but that displayed an array of movies in my forehead of loved ones, of family, things I'm grateful for, opportunity, health, even to be experiencing this crazy adventure we call life. Even the tests and the challenges that I got thrown, I was grateful for them, because I was in this state of gratitude where all them things made sense now, and all them situations made sense now. So then as that process continued, sometimes my mind would try and drift away, but he said, always revert your attention back to the breath. Now, when my mind would go away, I wouldn't open my eyes and break my trance and say, that's enough. I would go, no, I need this. And then I'd bring it back to the breath. Every time I would do that and bring it back to the breath, I would fall deeper in this emotional state. Anyway, throughout doing this, as the emotion was flying up my esophagus, flying up my sternum, coming through within my chakras. I'll mention about chakras in another video for people that aren't aware of what the chakra system is. As it was coming up, it was pushing it all out, and then I started to become emotional. Now, all these emotions started flying up to the surface that I had probably just lodged deep down, and this is what I mentioned in the other video, that at some point they will all come to the surface and you have to tackle them head on to move forward. Now, all of it came up, and it was coming up higher and higher and higher until I just broke down crying towards the end of the meditation. Broke down, hysterical, tears everywhere. And I was thinking, why am I feeling like this? Oh my God, I feel so vulnerable. You know, I feel so like I've not cried in ages. It's emasculine to cry, and all my days, why am I feeling like this? And he just tapped me on the back and he said, keep going. This is the power. This is all the darkness releasing from within you. And I was a mess, man. I was a mess, but felt great. You know, I wasn't a mess, a Brad Skelly with the physical symptoms of the health anxiety, shivering inside, like worrying about illness every day of my life because of the poisons within my body. No, I was a mess because I had the strength and the power to push up and purge this darkness and this poison that I'd been holding onto for so many years. That's how much of a mess I was. But then releasing this was so profound and so powerful. I was like, oh no, I feel amazing, you know? So that was my first powerful, profound experience of delving into meditation and stepping into the non-physical slightly and working with the non-physical in the fourth dimension and further. So quick log of my journey before, how meditation presented itself to me, my first meditation experience. Now I'm going to go into how I think meditation is a powerful, beneficial tool for the collective moving forward. So from that experience, that really opened my eyes. I'd had an altered state of perception. I'd moved from being within this cocoon and this sort of narrow one-way mind of, you know, being massive external gratification, to this cocoon opening up and pulling myself out of the box and looking at it from here. So I was looking at myself from outside the box. I wasn't in this cocoon. I wasn't in this one-way mind. My vision had sort of broadened and opened to here, and not even here, further. Now, that's how I then jumped onto my spiritual path. You know, there's a lot of things I'm going to touch upon in other videos about synchronicities, and about things, messages the universe had sent and stuff like that. But this really opened me up to connecting with the source. And you know, this feeling that I was getting was immaculate. So I continued that practice. I then came off the poisons. I came off the narcotics. I came off the steroids, and started to really work with emotion, because I feel like the spiritual path is more about working with the further dimensions than the physical. You know, like I mentioned in the other video, I believe we are an organization of energy expressed in physical format on a human experience. Okay, so if our whole anatomy is atoms and energy, and everything else is atoms and energy, we are not just bound by this physical vessel. You know, so if you imagine what you feel, so the third dimension, like I mentioned, being the physical, the human body, earth, the physical senses. If you imagine we come into this vessel and incarnate to experience the physical senses because we cannot in the non-physical, okay, then surely it's of an understanding to us that this physical body is just a physical body. It's not us. You know, us and who we are is our consciousness, is our personality, is our energy source, is our fourth dimensional being, is our emotions and feelings. You know, they are upon the non-physical. We cannot see them. However, we can physically feel them within our third dimensional body. Okay, so this opened up a massive doorway for me, yeah, and that's when I started moving with it. Now, that's not to say that I've never ever slipped again. That's not to say that I've never gone out for a drink again, or I've never had a party again, because that's very much not the case. Like, I massively believe in balance, and the main aspect would be to just completely understand that balance is key, and that we are not just this physical being. Okay, so I've had a lot of people come up to me over the time asking about meditation and things like that, and I really like to not, and I never push anything on them, because I've had a lot of people over the time that have asked about meditation. I've guided them through the meditation that I use, and they have said it's not for me, and that's absolutely fine. Because I do very much believe that, you know, delving into the spiritual path or the meditation is when you have been pushed to your physical capabilities, where you need to seek further. You know, like I said, I always needed to, I thought external gratification and all material things was where I needed help from. However, it was all about delving deep internally and just unwiring myself and starting again. Okay, so as a collective, do I think meditation's beneficial? Absolutely. Has it changed my life? Absolutely. Do I recommend it? Absolutely. So, you know, I will wake up now every morning at 6 a.m. There's been the odd mornings where I've not woke up at 6 a.m. and I've done it a bit later on in the morning. But as I wake up in the morning, I will make sure I wake up straight away, splash my face with water, cold water, have a sip of water, because I've started the internal anatomy and the system's running. Sit down on a fairly comfortable but firm surface, back upright, legs crossed. You don't have to sit in this position, by the way. This is just a position that I use because I believe that my altar, being vertical up to the sky and the universe, is the way that I'm going to receive my energy. Now, not everybody has to do that. So I sit there, hands back, my back's always erect, my spine's erect, and I always take a big deep breath in. And follow that rhythm throughout. Big deep breath in, exhale out, but follow the natural rhythm of the breath. Now, I've got a couple of sound tracks and a couple of playlists that I listen to that if you want to direct message me, I'm more than happy to send this through to yourselves. And I try and remember things that I'm grateful for. So thank you, universe. I am grateful to be blessed with a loving and supporting family every single day. Thank you. I am grateful to be blessed with great health and a fit and strong, healthy body to tackle daily challenges with. Thank you. I am grateful to be blessed with unboundful opportunity that gets sent my way on a day-to-day basis. Thank you. I am grateful to be blessed with the tests and the challenges that life throws my way to build my character strength. And thank you. I am grateful to be blessed to be experiencing this crazy adventure that we all call life. And that really helps me to resonate. And like I said, I know from this video, those things might be hard to remember, but that's my ritual. I do that every day, so that's embedded into me now. However, I can write things out for you. I can send you a message, and I can really touch upon those sort of things. But it's got to be close to you, and you have to set an intention, you know. So for anybody that is wanting to delve into the spiritual path, anybody that's wanting to delve into meditation, whether that just be to escape the noise, let me know. I like to use the analogy of a car engine. You know, so we wake up, and as soon as we wake up, the keys are in the ignition, the engine starts, and the engine is the representation of the human mind. The engine's running all day, let's say, like the human mind, with thoughts. So you've got it spiraling around thoughts as the engine's running all day, until the moment the engine is switched off and we go to sleep, and we rest. Now, that's not to say that the thought process ends, let's just say, but the voluntary thought process ends. And we are then, imagine how exhausting for the human physical mind that would be from start to finish, to just continuously be thinking about thoughts, continuously be thinking about things, the past, the future, everything, right? Meditation is simply 5, 10 or 15 minutes of just bringing yourself completely present and escaping all that mental chatter. That's all it is, you know? It's not too much more complicated than that. It's just escaping the mental chatter. All this, just bringing yourself into the present moment for 5, 10 or 15 minutes. And the time scale is entirely up to you. So as you can do that day to day, you'll have this resemblance, and you will have this embodied system of being able to just become present and escape from all of that. So yeah, you know, like I say, guys, quick little summary for anybody at all that is wanting to delve into that. Please do pop me a message and I can help guide you through. I can send you out in a text, because I know a lot of people, they can watch this video, but it might not have registered as clearly. So to read it from a message, that might be a lot easier. I can send you that. I can send you soundtracks and playlists of what I listen to. And we can also go through a meditative process together if you would like, for your first time, or if you've already done it before and you just want to do one like that. And I can guide you through, and we can see how that helps and develops the growth within your journey. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed that, episode 3. Sending love and guidance to you all. Have a fantastic evening. Peace.